So the 1988 Japan Cup arc in Umumusume Cinderella Grey has officially ended, and it was the most anticipated race of the second part of season 1 of Cinderella Grey. And now that it has finally ended, there are still a lot of unanswered questions from the Japan Cup arc. So in this video, I'm just gonna talk about all of the unanswered questions that people might have for this arc. And if you didn't know already, I also streamed the live reactions for Cinderella Grey episodes on Kick. So if you haven't already, please follow me on Kick. I'll leave the link in the description below. And without further ado, let's get into the first question. So one of the biggest questions that we have, and I have to be honest, when I was reading the manga, was who is this Umumusume? And right here they actually revealed who this Umumusume is in a Japanese broadcast of Cinderella Grey. So you can see right here that right here on top, that is the name of the character, and under that is the dialogue that the character is saying. And if we put the name into translations, it will say Sunshine Forever. So who is Sunshine Forever? Wow, that's a mouthful. But who is Sunshine Forever? So Sunshine Forever actually has a little bit of backstory with the in real life version of Obey Your Master. So the in real life version of Obey Your Master is Pay the Butler. And Sunshine Forever actually beaten Pay the Butler by half a length in the 1988 Man Award Stakes. And that Man Award Stakes was a G1 race. And that was actually the closest that Pay the Butler have, to winning a G1 race. And, Sunshine Forever kind of, deleted that hope that Pay the Butler could have won a G1 race back in America. And that is probably why Pay the Butler right here, she ain't looking too hot when Sunshine Forever is practically, nudging her or egging her on, how if she done more research, she could have beaten her. So yeah, that is one of the biggest questions that, to be honest, I really had for this character. And, now we had it, and, it is actually fitting that it will be Sunshine Forever because Sunshine Forever beating Pay the Butler in real life. So the next thing I want to talk about is Toni Bianca, and I'm gonna be honest, like, Obey Your Master is hot. Like, I'll definitely obey her to the end of time, but Toni just gives me the kind of vibes that you just want to marry her. And if you didn't know, Toni Bianca is Toni Bin, and Toni Bin is a racehorse in real life that participate in the 1988 Japan Cup. And Toni Bin is also the father of Jungle Pocket. And when you see here, they have the very similar type of zone. So their zone involves a lot of rainbow colors, RGB lightings. They're like a goddamn PC from modern time. And they have the same exact color scheme when they're in the zone. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it is a very cool notch to Jungle Pocket, to be honest, because Jungle Pocket's zone was released before Toni Bianca's zone. And Toni Bin also sired a Winning Ticket, Air Groove, and also Vega, which is the mother of Admire Vega. And actually, Toni Bianca in the Cinderella Grey anime got injured in the race where she got a fractured leg, and that's actually real because in real life Toni Bin finished 5th, but he was found limping after the race. So an x-ray was taken when he was at the clinic, which revealed really no abnormalities at all. But it was later discovered that he in fact had a fractured foot. And afterwards, after the race, Toni Bianca said, maybe I should settle down in Japan and not go back to Europe. Have a little bit of fun in Japan. that just basically means Toni Bianca is gonna, make children, in a sense, because, not late after that, after the Japan Cup of 1988, also thanks to SP for this information, that Teruya Yoshida, the owner of Shada, immediately bought Toni Bin, which is the in real life version of Toni Bianca, and asked Christopher McCarran, I hope I didn't butcher that name, to have a try on him. And McCarran, we'll go back to McCarran later, because McCarran is actually the jockey that rode on, Pay the Butler to victory in the 1988 Japan Cup. And McCarran actually said that Toni Bin was very suited to win in a Japan Cup if he hadn't gotten that injury. And lo and behold, who won a future Japan Cup? Jungle Pocket won the future Japan Cup, and Jungle Pocket actually snatched the Japan Cup victory from Taeyama Pro, which is the de facto successor of Oguri Cap. So very interesting lore behind this race as well. I feel like this race is so filled with lore that there's so much to talk about. And of course, Toni Bianca's settled in Japan, and he made Air Groove, Jungle Pocket, and also won ticket. So Chris McCarran was the jockey for Obey Your Master, which is Pay the Butler. I swear to God, these names, they are messing up with. They are fucking me up, but whatever. You know the horses' names now. And a little bit of backstory for Chris McCarran. Chris McCarran was very good friends with symbolic Rudolf jockey Yutaka Okabe, and the phrase "take it easy," where you see here Rudolf sending to Oguri, was actually a phrase that McCarran gave to Okabe. And right here again, "take it easy" is basically a motto of Okabe, which is also a motto of Chris McCarran. And this was actually from a book called Rudolph's Bag. And Rudolph's Bag is kind of a weird book, because a lot of people, call this book kind of an erotic novel, because of how, Okabe was talking about Rudolph. A little bit, it's just a little bit of context right here. This is a line from the book. "Skinship is done with the palm. With my right hand, sometimes my left, I gently stroke Rudolph's neck from his waist to his hind quarters. The sole purpose of this touching is to calm the horse's spirits. If necessary, I repeat it as many times as needed. I don't stop until a deep sense of calm appears in Rudolph's heart." Another excerpt. "Rudolph's skin is remarkably fine textured, and he sweats a lot." Pause. "A horse with good skin always sweats consistently. It's the same even in winter. On the other hand, that sweat dries quickly. Such good sweat doesn't soak through the fabric of our breeches into the legs of us riders." So yeah, Okabe really has a very interesting relationship with Rudolph. Also, Okabe wrote this by himself as well. So yeah, but this is the little lore behind Chris McCarran, and a little bit lore also on Rudolph as well. And this character right here, which is Obey's trainer, is based of course on Chris McCarran. Here is Chris McCarran in real life. The resemblance is uncanny. So one of the major things that happened in the Japan Cup was that Obey Your Master was not willing to run alongside of Tamamo Cross, and that is due to the fact of Tamamo Cross's immense competitive spirit, where if you run alongside Tama, then you just make her even stronger. You just made her spur even stronger because of her competitive spirit. And for example, you could see in the 1988 Autumn Tenno show where Tama won against Oguri's final spurt with her own final spurt, because Oguri was really side by side with Tama, and that really enlightened Tama's competitive spirits. And this strategy was actually used in real life as well. So this strategy was used by Obey Your Master's team, and was also used by Obey Your Master's jockey Chris McCarran. And this is how Chris McCarran and Pei the Butler won the 1980 Japan Cup, because they didn't really indirectly rank alongside of Tama. So Tama didn't have, you know, the heavy competitive spirit that she would have, or he would have had when, you know, fighting for, you know, first place head to head, like with Ogre in the Tenno Show Autumn. And in the real life race, there's actually a recording of the race in the JRE YouTube channel, but you know, the quality is, you know, very bad, so I couldn't really see anything about it. I can only see that the, you know, the distance between Pei the Butler and Tama was, you know, very far away, so I guess they can't really see each other, but I don't think that's how eyes work. So, but this is the official explanation on, you know, the strategy that Pei the Butler or Obey used for Tama in the Japan Cup. So this is all real. This is no hocus pocus wild joker. I mean, I'm sure the horses didn't, you know, have this kind of aura in real life, but all the strategies and all the lore behind, you know, the horses are, you know, very factual, because they actually used this tactic against Tama, and you know, they won. So congrats on beating Tama. And yeah, that's all I want to talk about for the 1980 Japan Cup. You know, this is my most anticipated race, and you know, I think the studio did an amazing job in, you know, animating the race as well. You know, really captured the wild joker. Like, they really did capture the wild joker, as you know, Obey's mannerism as well was, you know, spot on. She changed her voice. She knows how to speak English. Like, she's a patriot. So yeah, that's all I have to say about the 1980 Japan Cup. And if you haven't already, I also made a video talking about all the horses in the 1980 Japan Cup, you know, the notable Uma Musumes I talk about. You know, be sure to check that video out, you know, if you have already, and also check out my reactions for the, you know, Cinderella Grey episodes on Kick and also on YouTube. That's all I have for today. So I'll see you in the next Uma Musume video.